You are now locked in to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast.
Hi guys.
Welcome back to another episode of Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast. We are your host. I'm Temi.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Ayo.
Are
you okay?
Do you know I saw someone calling my
I can see someone in the corner. Hit
sorry.
Whoa. Do the reverse.
Oh, stop.
Right. Okay.
Put her on the spot.
She can do it. Believe in yourself.
Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you guys for coming this far with us. Thank you for watching our previous episodes. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for commenting. Every single thing that you do, we appreciate every single one of it.
Every time.
Big thumbs up.
Yeah, you've probably seen in the title below, but today's topic is basically a very broad discussion on generational wealth. That's the key topic, generational wealth.
Yes.
So I've recently come across some people's opinions on generational wealth, and to my surprise, yes, I'll say to my surprise, because I never really thought people had those opinions. You know, sometimes when you're just stuck in your own thoughts and you forget people have a variety of opinions, especially like opposed opinions to yours. But I got to find out recently that some people genuinely do not care about generational wealth in terms of like their family tree and just, you know, having children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. They don't care when it comes to a certain point in their family tree after they've passed on about generational wealth. The reason why I was surprised with that is because I think I care about generational wealth because I want to build a legacy for my grandchildren, great grandchildren, even though I might not meet them, or great grandchildren, even though I might not meet them. If I can, no pressure. But yeah, it's so interesting to know, to hear that people don't care about that stuff. What do you guys think about not caring about that stuff?
I think it's strange not to care.
Yeah.
Like, as much as, because I feel like the point of the people in the podcast that we saw was along the lines of, oh, I'm never going to meet them. And like, there's almost like that disassociation between them, their life and the life of their children. But it's like, they literally have your DNA. If it was not for you, they would not even they would not exist.
If you literally decided not to procreate, they would not exist.
Yeah, it's also like, say, for instance, your parents decided to have you, and then all of a sudden they say, yeah, I'm not going to look after you though, I'll just throw you in the bush.
But the reason why that's slightly different, because there's a direct link there. It's just like
generational wealth.
It's still generational wealth, but I think with parents and their children, their offspring's a bit different.
Yeah.
Bit intimate.
No, but it's still a part of your lineage. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that some people, it doesn't surprise me that some people don't care.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't want to say our generation, because I hate that so much.
Every week.
But I know, I feel like every time our generation, I'm sure when people hear it, they say, generation. But I feel like our generation, they're very fixated on like the now.
Themselves.
Everything.
Everything.
Your lashes look lovely. Sorry.
Thank you.
Wow! She's in love!
Wow!
I love them.
Do you know, I can see her looking at me. Why is she looking at me like that?
Looks so nice. I like it.
Thank you. It's for the party.
It's for the party!
If you know, you know.
This side, it was serving looks.
Get ready. Listen, sidetrack.
this is
Follow us on Instagram, SDWTS
Your
podcast,
legs.
because the content.
It's just crazy. Even when this drops, when this drops is the day before. So if you missed it,
the day
you
after.
It's the day after.
Yeah, the thing we went to is the day before when this drops. Yeah?
It's gonna be a party class.
I
didn't even mean
Don't
to
sleep.
Sorry guys.
Wake up!
I didn't mean to turn it into this. I just said I should look
It's the end of summer
Summer.
These girls are gonna finish.
That's the real end of summer night. How did he get from that?
No, a whole 2 minutes.
Sorry.
Sorry, no.
Sorry.
But going back to my point, a lot of summer night. A lot of people, I feel like in our generation, a lot of people only care about like the now.
Yeah.
Like getting money quickly, like feeding like their fast or short-term pleasures. There's no longevity. There's no, okay, let me think about the future. It's everything now for image. Everything. There's like the same way we see people spending their last just to fit in and keep up with image. They're not thinking about their future. They're not thinking about their children's children and children's children's children. So I'm not really surprised, because if you see, go on.
Basically, what you were saying makes so much sense, and it just reminded me of something. A few weeks ago, we actually discussed being community minded and what our generation thinks. Do you not think that ties into that?
Absolutely.
Do you not feel like that ties into that? And the reason why I think it does is because the people that were giving their opinions in regards to just not caring about generational wealth were younger generation. I find it very hard to imagine an older person saying something like that.
Mate, that's such a good point, because it just speaks volumes. Like, the reason our parents did what they did in terms of being so community minded was so that when they were gone, we'd have stuff. And also, generational wealth is not just only money, because I think sometimes
it can be assets, not even
owning stuff.
It could even be as little, even though it's not little, but things like jewelry, even like
something tangible
passed down that is of some sort of
That's a really
value.
good point, you know.
That's
a really good one.
There's mindsets, there's frameworks, there's systems that people put in place, that even the church that your parents might choose for you to grow up in, there's probably a choice as to why they went there, so that when they go, like, they know that they've got like a hub,
they've left you in safe hands.
Go back to, like, you know, the whole verse of train up a child in the way they should go when they're old, they won't depart from
it. And it takes a village
to raise a child.
I've got a question though. As girls that are saying we care about our future generation, do you feel like we live nowadays as though we care about, like, do you think you consciously think about your future generations?
I think do you know there's a difference between consciously thinking about it? It's so easy to consciously think about it, which I do. I would, speaking personally, I definitely consciously think about it, and I would love to make that difference in terms of generational wealth. I would love for it to start from me. However, in terms of behaving towards it, like putting things in place and doing what I need to do, I haven't started doing that yet, and that could be, I think that's because I don't think I have the resources just yet. At 25, I'm not sure what I can really offer the next generation just yet in the position I'm in. But because it's something that's consciously on my mind, maybe I might be swaying towards that path where maybe in a few years, for example, it could be as little as a mortgage. I mean, it's not little. A mortgage is such a big deal. Like, do you know what I mean? So consciously, I'm thinking about one day, hopefully, you know, I'm not sure with the way, you know, this UK is going downhill. I don't know what the housing market is saying at the moment. For us young people, it's very scary. However, it is something one day I do plan on doing. That in itself is generational wealth. Speaking about assets, so I think I might not necessarily be on the right path now, but consciously, mentally, I'm there. Subconsciously, I think about it.
My answer is the exact same as yours, but what I would add as well is I don't think we're giving ourselves enough credit, because going back to your point, where you said it's not just financial wealth that you pass down. Even just the little things of breaking generational curses and breaking certain habits and ensuring that our children don't see those habits that, you know, whether it's you saw it in your parents or like the elders that you had around you, making sure that you pass on like morals and integrity. That's alone, that's powerful, because you could be stopping certain things, certain cycles that have continuously been happening previous generations, that it stops with you. So that alone, we can feel like we're not doing enough, but the fact that we're working towards it and we're pouring into ourselves spiritually, physically, mentally, and ensuring that we're good every single day, that alone, that's priceless.
100%.
That's stuff that money can't buy.
It's interesting because when I asked the question, I didn't think about, like, I thought maybe I would have been saying no, but you're right, like we do, because
it's the little things, it's the things you don't think you're doing.
I don't think about wealth per se, because it's not like I have this, I'm not the type of person that wants to be a millionaire like I want to have a wealthy life in terms of like I want to be comfortable, you want to, but in terms of putting a number on it, I don't have that. But in terms of like one thing I think about a lot is the type of parent I want to be, and I think about that a lot, like consciously. Like, people always know I want to homeschool my kids, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I care so much about how there will be their emotional well-being, their physical, their mental well-being. Like, I don't know, it's something that's very important to me, and I feel like there's so many things that I watch, like YouTube vlogs and so many things, to like really educate myself on certain things, so that when I do have kids, or even just for the people around me that are younger, like I'm pouring good habits into them. So I definitely think you're right, like we definitely are like sort of taking the things we have and thinking about how it's gonna be on.
And I think, I don't know who can relate to this, but I think in terms of us being even first gen in the UK alone says something in a way, because a lot of our parents were born and raised back home, came here at like,
and they brought,
you know, whenever they came, and you know, being born here or being raised here, Would I call it a privilege? Yes.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I'll call it a privilege. So naturally, those resources, we have them. That maybe our parents didn't have. So that as well, you know, we can use those to It's
crazy you mentioned that, actually, because like there's so many things that you wouldn't even think of. Like even the fact that, say for instance, our parents had us here. Like that in itself is almost a form of leaving generational wealth. And I know it sounds a bit like how
I know what you're saying,
but like for instance, even my mum, like in my mum's generation, like our parents' generation, for instance, a lot of them maybe didn't have the resources to do that. But my mum's parents, when they were students, they came and they had my mum and her sister here, and they did that intentionally so that one day, like they'd be able to, if they ever wanted to, they have a British passport, because they didn't grow up here. They grew up in Nigeria. Like my mum, she was born here, and then she lived here. So she was like 4, maybe 3, 4, and then they went back to Nigeria, grew up there, and then when she got married, and then they came back, and like she was able to easily just come back.
That's the thing, because like, once you have that British passport,
and like that's the thing, you don't think about, like I've never thought about that as like I've never thought too deeply into that's a path.
Honestly,
to leaving. But it is. That plan is a seed for the life that you and your siblings have. Even just like even our parents growing us up in a household where we know Jesus.
Honestly,
that's the biggest wealth of it all.
That's something that I know that you know, this conversation is well overdue for me to have with my parents, but I want to thank them so much, because just the way that's changed my life. And that doesn't now mean that I'm here perfect and that I have all the answers and I know how tomorrow's gonna go. No, it's just having that foundation that it doesn't matter what comes away, I'm not shaken.
Right.
And that's something that we can genuinely pass on to our children.
Absolutely. That's, and I don't know if you guys have I don't know if your parents have told you this before, but I hear this a lot from my parents when they say things like, when it comes to Christianity and just having that faith, like if I knew what I knew at your age in terms of who God is and my walk with Christ, it's not as if my parents weren't really born in sort of in a religious household, but my mum was raised Muslim. My dad was raised Christian. He'd go to church, but in terms of his spiritual walk only started after the age of 50.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So they would literally look at us and say, you know what, you guys, what you know now, if we had known it at your age, only God knows where we would have been. We might have been a lot further down the line, 100%. But you guys have that privilege now. You guys have that resources. You guys have the internet. You can research things without having to ask your pastor that might give you the wrong answer. You know, that's things so like that.
It was so different for them.
It was so different from
even that their prayers that's still covering us to this day.
Right.
Even see,
so it's not. Do you know what? It's not about money. It's not just about money. It's
of course, money is important. That's not what we're saying. Money is definitely important. Like you want to leave something for your children and for your children's children.
Of course.
But money is not what's going to get them through life.
Yeah.
Like money will absolutely help.
And it helps a lot.
But how many people do we see with money that don't have integrity, that don't have morals, that are just ruining people left, right and centre?
You can have money and like you have the worst life. Like we see all the time. I think touching on the fact Christianity, like that is definitely the biggest, like that's the biggest thing you could ever leave to somebody. Like,
absolutely.
Like even that's why evangelism is such a big part of Christianity. Like at least being able to sow the seed of like who Jesus is in somebody's life. It can change their life.
It can change, especially from such a young age. Like just building that foundation is
honestly
crazy.
From a young age it really makes a difference, because I notice a difference between me and like my fellow like friends who learned about Christ when they were older. Like it's a completely different way of experiencing Christ. There's benefits and there's pros and cons to everything.
Of course,
but I think touching on money is very important because I always relate stuff back to the Bible, but you know what can I do? So on the podcast,
don't apologize.
I'm gonna never apologize. The first thing is like I've said it on the podcast before, but like the Bible literally says a man who cannot provide for his family is worse than an infidel. That's number one. Okay,
you know that verse is so loud.
Like when the fact that the Bible mentions that, I think it's deeper than people realize that. And
a man that cannot provide
is worse than an infidel. Right. And then it also says
that one is harsh.
It's very harsh.
That one will have you like this.
This chuckle.
Not even this.
Yeah.
It's very harsh.
And then there's also another verse that talks about like a wise man leaves something for his children, for his children's children, and for his children's children. So like I think if the Bible can mention it, and the Bible was written how many years ago, like
there's emphasis on it.
It goes to show how far we've strayed as a modern society away from communal thinking and from lineage thinking, and from thinking about leaving, because the thing is, people nowadays will still say they want to leave a legacy, but they want to leave a legacy for like egotistical reasons. They might want to leave a legacy like because they want to be the biggest,
first person,
the
drug dealer, or the first millionaire in their family, or
you know, I mean, for things that it's like it really just points to them.
It's rooted in pride,
or it stops with them. While what a true legacy is like, you know what, like you've given birth to so many dreams, you've given birth to so many avenues to turn, like your name can be looked at as somebody that was like generous, but not in a prideful way, in a way that like opened doors for so many other people. And I think that's what's different nowadays. That generational wealth is now I want to use all my money right now, and I like because they know the money's not going to go with them. They say all the time, money doesn't go with you to heaven.
Just
money
to keep up appearance,
wherever you're going, it doesn't follow.
They want to use every single dollar, every single pound, every
dime, every cent,
right, or this before they go.
And that's why when I heard that opinion at first, I think that's why I was not taken aback. That's why I not understood where they were coming from. That's why I sort of not resignated either. I'm trying to find the word. That's why I sort of listened and just like tried to understand a bit more. I had an open mind about it. I wanted to get where they were coming from, and to some extent it makes sense, to a tiny bit of extent, because it's like at the end of the day, especially for those people that just feel like they can't make ends meet. Right. So obviously maybe they haven't thought as far as we've discussed today in terms of what generational wealth actually means, and it's not just about the money, because when you do hear the word wealth, you automatically think money, but maybe they haven't thought as far as other little things that they could leave for, you know, generations to come. So maybe for someone that can't afford, you know, just a basic lifestyle, or can't make ends meet, maybe they just think, you know what, I'm struggling right now, so how can I start thinking about my great grandkids that are not even here yet, or
when I need to think of the kids that I do have here.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's where those people were coming from in terms of saying that. Who knows? But I get it in that sense.
It definitely still points back to kind of the points that have already been made about even just living a life that's full of integrity and full of moral standing, and obviously as a Christian, someone that's rooted in Christ, because inevitably you leave a legacy, inevitably you leave like wealth, because you've lived a life that's intentional versus living your life in a willy-nilly way. Like that's a life that is haphazard. Like at the end of the day, like you might not leave anything, because you're leaving every day to the wind, versus if you have a very like intentional life, like you will definitely leave something, whether it's of magnitude or not. You'll still leave something. But I was going to say, like on the topic of what we're talking about, I think there's even a trend like with a lot of millionaires and billionaires that have like publicly said they're not leaving money to their kids. Like Bill Gates is one that's known for saying that.
Oh, what really?
Did he say his reason?
No, I don't know. It's probably online.
Is that facts? Like he genuinely said he's not leaving anything for his kids.
Yeah, he's not living I think he's the richest guy in the world. If not, now it's the guy that owns
Elon Musk.
Tesla.
Yeah, he's number one at the moment.
It's either him. No, Jeff Bezos is the most.
Right.
The one that
I know the top three is Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and then Bill Gates.
So like, Bill Gates said he's not going to leave anything for his kids, and then someone recently, I don't know if you guys know the brand Patagonia. They do like tracksuits and whatever, they do that brand. Well, no, it's either Patagonia or something else. It's called, starts with a P. He said he's given all the shares of his company to like an environmental company. He's not leaving it for his kids. So what's you guys' thoughts on people that have that amount of wealth and decide not to?
I've seen someone else come out and say that. I don't know if they're a billionaire. I think like they were on millionaire status, and their reasoning was because they want their kids to actually work and make their own success and whatnot. But this is my thing. This is why I don't agree with that statement, because
I'm Googling the Bill Gates one.
It doesn't make sense, because when we talk about generational wealth, it should apply across the board, which means that there shouldn't now be terms and conditions when it comes to, I'm going to give it to my children. But it's the same way when people say, I want to be wealthy so my children don't have to suffer. But when they reach a certain age, I'm going to make them pay rent.
Right.
And you know what, there might be some people who listen to this like, I'm still going to do that because I want my children to understand what it means to work for money and to have discipline, blah, 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 blah. My whole thing is there's other ways to teach your children discipline.
100%.
So that whole narrative of I'm not going to pass on it doesn't make sense. It's kind of a contradiction, because the whole reason of generational wealth is so that my children don't have to do the work that I did. There's still going to be some work, on their end, but not to the degree that I did it. Of course. So why would I now see? That's why I'm working because I don't want. So why would I now see it as, oh, you have to suffer too, so you understand that this life is not easy?
Like, why are we glorifying suffering?
We do.
That is my issue.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though, because people do like to say the whole, like, it's like, I feel like, okay, my parents have done a great job in making a life for me and my siblings, 100%, but we're not the richest family in the world.
Right.
But my parents have been very intentional about stuff they do in the house to make you feel like you're a child, and you're not like, I think it's different, obviously, if you're in a household where you do need to contribute because the parents are not making enough money to,
that's not what I'm talking about.
Obviously, and Ashley's not referring to that. But like, say for instance, you have a good life, like, bills are being paid, everything's calm, and you reach a certain age. I personally don't agree as well with charging your children rent. I think if your children want to contribute out of their own,
that's different, because they want to learn money management skills. Or when parents kick their children out because they're like, you have to go because you need to know what learn what it means,
not know where they're going or anything, and then you're
not surprised when your children go into drugs and do anything and everything for quick money.
Like, it's not complete parenting.
And I'm so happy you touched on that, because let children be children. Like, I don't want my child to have to think about paying bills before they're 18 or 20 or whatever, because they have the rest of their life to pay bills.
100%.
What's the rush?
You're actually only a child for like the smallest part of your life. Like,
smallest.
You're literally, we're not children anymore. We haven't been children since you were 18 technically, but I would say I feel like you're not a child, and I feel like you're not a child after 21. And like, well, obviously you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
And like, that's a short part of your life.
They're actually going to have student loan debt.
To get like,
well, that's if they go to university. Well,
there's so many other things.
God willing, I'll be able to pay their tuition.
I relate to this so much because I always get mixed signals, and I couldn't care less what anyone thinks, because if they had the opportunity, they'd absolutely take it. Yes, I'm looking at you.
Tell them, baby girl.
When it comes to, like, when I say things like, oh, my dad pays my phone bill, I get those mixed reactions like, why does your dad pay your phone bill? You're going to be 26 years old. Is it your first of all, is it your money? Is my dad stealing it from your pocket to pay the rent? I didn't think so. It's his money that he's earning, and I've literally offered to pay my my own bill, and he has said I don't have to if I don't want to, and I've said okay.
No, but your dad is actually
how can you be so annoyed at me that my dad is paying my phone bill? Like,
because he wants
what's the annoyance? Don't be so annoyed. I know I am not spoiled. No, I started working from young age. I earn my own money. I don't ask anything from my dad. Like, sometimes every now and again, if he's feeling maybe a bit rich, he can send me some money into my account, and he can. Why not? And guess what? I contribute to some of the bills in the house. So I just pay. Do you know, this is basically what you were trying to say.
Like, you're a child in your parents' house, and how they choose to look after you is how they choose to look after
me. I just don't get the annoyance personally.
I think any parent that loves their child would want to go above and beyond for their kids, and how that looks can be different from household to household.
You know what I mean?
Of course, because it's not like
it's not one size fits all.
I honestly started to get,
but he loves me.
The reactions I get is crazy.
Because obviously they look at your age and they think, what?
They're like, why are you doing that? What, like, to my face, like, said things. I'm just like, why is your face like that? First of all, fix it. Don't frown at me.
Because at the end of the day, do you know what it is? A lot of parents that do stuff like that, which I think is actually very sweet, is like they don't want you to have this financial burden that, like, prematurely, because they know once you leave their house, that financial burden will be there.
It's almost like living at home rent free, because we know that when we leave our parents' house and get our own property,
real life begins.
You're going to be paying bills. So you have the rest of your life to pay bills. And if your dad willingly wants to pay your phone bill,
honestly,
who are you to tell him, oh no, dad, because social media said that I need to learn discipline, I need to learn how to do.
Telling me no, I should just take it. Don't worry, dad, I'll pay. Imagine begging to pay for something that someone's offering.
No, because I think
my own father, you know.
I want to spin somebody. I need to stir the pot small.
Go on.
You lot want to say you want to cry about some of these parents paying their bills, but you're begging for men's money on the internet.
No, but that is wow. Okay.
I actually think we need to do a podcast about how a lot of what people say
begging for men's money on the internet.
Let's talk about it, because
how it's normalized.
Let's do a podcast about how we've gotten to the point where girls demanding men spend money on them the first day they meet them is normal now. It's not begging anymore.
But me, my dad,
that used to be begging.
But pay their rent. My own phone bill is the problem.
That used to be begging. That used to be classified
but your
as
dad,
begging. All right.
Okay,
that's a real conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. And if you want us to do that episode, I'm so happy to do it, because there's actually something I saw this week about that. Let me not even go into
Why
it.
Are women begging for money on the internet?
Let me not even go into it, because it's we'll save that for another episode.
That's what it's going to be called. Why are women begging?
And you know what's so mad? That day we're going to be called broke girls, but that's absolutely fine.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
we're going to be called
pick me, broke girls.
No, but okay, we will cross that bridge when we get there, because I have a lot to say. Yes.
Moment of silence.
That begging money from men was also called something else back in the days.
Oh.
That's not what I'm saying, but that's what I saw.
I think that might be the best way to wrap up.
That's what I saw on the internet.
So let parents spoil their kids, and even if spoil doesn't have to be negative. Yeah, I'm gonna tie it back in, because I just had to spin you lot's heads for 1 second. You're crying about people's parents looking after them, but you're begging on the internet.
Do you not find it a bit shameless?
Because at the end of the day, we can all agree maybe it's the lifestyle you want as well. That's fine.
That's fine.
But you don't need to make others
don't be
feel
shocked. Don't be
real.
Your whole face is scrunching. Don't do that.
No, real.
Just say, "Oh, I wish my dad would do that too."
That's me too. I wish.
Do you know that would suffice?
But I'm not here jealous about other people's situations.
No, honestly, the first thing, fix your face.
Be happy.
But you're the same people that when it's your birthday, you'll put your cash app or whatever it is for people to send money.
Thank you, Lord, for listening. And thank you for sitting down with the sisters.
We'll see
always a pleasure.
on our next episode.
Bye, guys.